We are good to start.
All right, good evening. Today is a regular meeting of the Board of Architectural Review for Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. Is there any discussion on the agenda?
I move that the agenda be accepted as proposed. Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Beatty, seconded by Mr. Feather to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Are there any presentations by the public on any item not calling for a public hearing? So please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move on to consideration of the May 18th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, propose that we adopt the May 18, 22 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Patella, seconded by Mr. Beatty to adopt the meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is items not requiring a public hearing. The first item is consideration of the bar bylaws amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this discussion is for the BAR to consider adopting a BAR bylaw amendment to change quorum from 4 voting members to the majority of current voting members of the board. I've added the current bylaws. A quorum shall consist of 4 voting members of the board. The bylaws would be revised as follows. A quorum shall consist of majority of current voting members of the board.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Architectural Review approve the bylaw amendment request to change quorum requirements.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Way, seconded by Mr. Beatty to approve the amendment to the bar bylaws. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is presentation on the draft outdoor dining permit program and operational guidelines.
Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Danette Nguyen, and I'm joined by Eric Foreman, whom co-chaired the outreach and implementation of this initiative with me. With today's presentation, we will provide a background information on the program, the proposed zoning amendment, requirements for restaurant participation, the permitting process, acceptable types of dining areas, design requirements, and prohibited items. In March of 2020, Council approved the emergency ordinance to assist businesses that were adversely impacted by the pandemic. This allowed for a measured and temporary expansion of outdoor dining areas through the Fairfax City Reconnected Outdoors program. Several extensions followed the emergency ordinance, with the most recent extension set to expire September 30th of this year. 30 restaurants have thus participated in the program, and 16 have sought to continue their outdoor dining. Feedback from participants of the program have identified it as a success, and the city is now developing this pilot program for the continued use of public and private spaces to ensure that the design of temporary outdoor dining areas meet the city's objectives of creating dynamic places to socialize and dine in the city while balancing the needs of safety, access, and comfort. To facilitate the continued use of temporary outdoor areas, we have proposed a zoning amendment to section 6.5.3 to exempt the need for a certificate of appropriateness for the outdoor dining seating areas from the BAR. This proposed amendment does not change the approval process for current permanent outdoor dining areas, only those that are truly temporary outdoor dining areas. We have since presented the proposed zone amendment to the Planning Commission and Mayor and Council, which was received well by both. We understand that the city has many competing demands for use of public sidewalks, private property walkways, and parking lots. Therefore, applicants of this program must meet requirements for eligibility, which include a valid business license, commercial general insurance and liquor liability, with the city listed as additionally insured for public right-of-way dining areas, a letter of permission from property owners and/or managers for private property dining areas, and all must comply with building code, health department, fire marshal, Virginia ABC, and ADA requirements. As you can see from the permitting and application process, the goal of the pilot program is to ensure the interest of the public is protected through the review of applications from multiple departments. Permit temporary outdoor dining through an administrative approval process led by the Community Development and Planning Department and the Office of Economic Development. The application review will be performed by multiple departments to leverage the expertise of staff and ensure areas meet the requirements of the design and operational guidelines that were submitted to you earlier, while enlivening and enhancing public life, but also to assist restaurants with creating safe, attractive, and inviting temporary outdoor dining areas. The temporary outdoor dining permit program will increase opportunities for restaurants to expand their operations within the public right-of-way and on private property. Public right-of-way areas will include sidewalks, multi-purpose paths, and other public spaces adjacent to building frontages. Private property areas will include outdoor dining areas on oversized walkways, paved areas near building entrances, plazas, or parking lots on private property. With either type of outdoor dining area, it shall in no way interfere with or limit a user's unobstructed passage. In looking at the design requirements across both types of outdoor dining areas, we consulted multiple city departments and held a restaurant workshop for feedback. The design requirements identified are to facilitate the creation of safe, attractive, and inviting outdoor dining areas that support an equitable experience for all. We provided the design and operational guidelines in your packets, and with today's presentation, wanted to call out items specifically for the BAR that relate to the design requirements for each type of dining area. With the public right-of-way design requirements for tents and umbrellas, the program encourages the use of durable, high-quality materials that must also be either fire-resistant, flame-certified, fire-related, or non-combustible. Additionally, tents and umbrellas are limited to one color and contained within the sidewalk area. There's multiple points here regarding tents and umbrellas, but I wanted to call out those two specifically for the public right-of-way. For try saying this 5 times. For furniture and furnishings, we wanted to note that furniture must be made of durable, high-quality materials such as finished-grade wood, metal, or composite materials. Additionally, all furniture must be freestanding and should not be bolted, anchored, or fixed, as this would be considered permanent outdoor dining and would be under the review of the BAR and prohibited under the temporary outdoor dining program. Per this slide, tables, chairs, umbrellas, heat lamps, menu displays, planters, and barriers are the only acceptable temporary outdoor dining furniture. Additionally, all must be clean and well-maintained. When reviewing private property design requirements for tents and umbrellas, we applied the same conditions regarding the use of durable, high-quality materials and fire resistance and non-combustible items. Additionally, tents and umbrellas are again limited to one color and less than 900 square feet. Those that are larger would require a fire prevention code permit and a building permit per the fire marshal. We also wanted to stress how outdoor dining areas visually enhance the environment and the importance to utilize quality furniture and furnishings within private outdoor dining areas. We again implemented the same requirements to highlight high-quality durable furniture and furnishings to contribute to the safety, attractiveness of a dynamic aesthetic, and to withstand weather conditions. While a number of furniture and furnishings are acceptable, the temporary outdoor dining areas are impermanent dining areas, and furniture, furnishings, tents, umbrellas that are permanently fixed are prohibited. This slide provides a complete list of prohibited items to ensure that items are appropriate and aesthetically pleasing. Therefore, items such as plastic furniture, storage structures, signs, logos, or other marketing materials are again prohibited. The following slide will show you some important dates that we have regarding the zoning amendment. As you can see, we've gone to the council work session in May and had a text amendment ritual as well. Our next public hearing for the zoning amendment will be July 11th. And now we are at also our design and operational standards review for our draft that we had submitted. We've done some business outreach in May. We're here with the BAR tonight and following council work session in July. Questions? Oh, I forgot the slide that had the prohibited items. I'm sorry about that. And that is it.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Ms. Way, any questions?
I don't think I have any questions. Thank you for your presentation, and I look forward to eating outside more.
Mr. Patello?
Thank you, Chair. I think your presentation is really good. It's something that the city definitely needs. Question I have is, there are limitations of the sidewalks. And so what is being considered that, you got to leave certain space for easy accessibility by the pedestrians? Is there anything be looked into that? Because, where people can put the furniture, you cannot just just keep on putting that thing.
Yes, correct, and thank you, member of the board, sir. We did consult with both the Department of Public Works and also the fire marshal to determine what the ADA requirements would be and the need for space. In addition to that, before any outdoor dining area can be utilized, Eric, if you want to go back to the permitting process slide. There we go. Before any outdoor dining area can be utilized, there has to be a design, a site plan that identifies where the outdoor dining area will be located in regards to how much measurements in terms of accessibility. And in addition to that, there will be a physical inspection of the area before it can be in use.
Would there be a possibility for restaurant owners to occupy some of the parking spaces?
Yes, that is covered in our private property outdoor dining area.
Okay. Because that is always an issue.
The regards to private parking and utilizing parking spaces, before any of the restaurants can utilize that, they would need a letter from the property manager and owner identifying that those parking spaces are eligible for use. In addition, if they were to utilize a tent, that tent would be inspected again by the fire marshal. And also, similar to the public right-of-way, no outdoor dining area can be utilized until it has passed a physical inspection as well.
So that is for the private park. What
That is
about
for-
the public?
We do not have public parking currently identified. I believe the only public parking that I've seen outdoor dining in use was in Old Town on Main Street, but we have not had a request for any public parking spaces on Main Street at this time.
Well, this is something that one has to consider because, you go to New York City, for example, the parking spaces are all taken over by restaurant owners. And it's a lot of inconvenience for the pedestrians over there. If you have been there recently, you'll see that thing happening. Something that we need to, I'm very much for this, outdoor. And I can see that the time frame that you have is March to November.
Correct.
Which is a good time to have that thing because the weather is supposed to be nicer. But one has to be very careful that whatever the regulation we put in place, that doesn't become inconvenient to the residents and the pedestrians.
Correct. I completely 100% agree, sir. And that's why we are distinguishing this as a pilot program. And so we could also utilize that time when we are not having outdoor dining in place from January to February to examine and to get feedback again from those that have participated. And hopefully we'll have some feedback from the public as well.
Okay, that's good. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Beatty, any questions?
Just a couple. One of the things you had is non-participatory music is not allowed. I am assuming that you're referring to karaoke?
Yes, sir. Although I do love karaoke, yes.
Actually, non-participatory music for folks who are not in the habit of reading the zoning ordinance, and I have a feeling that might be the majority of the folks in this room. That is actually an item within the zoning ordinance, and what it means, non-participatory music is background music. So participatory music could be karaoke. It could also be a featured event where people come, people come either through tickets or through an advertised event to watch music, and that has different zoning
Okay.
implications. So what this is saying is that background music is okay if it's live, if it's recorded. It's the participatory music that raises to a different
Okay,
standard.
thank you.
And we did also consult with our code administration in regards to sound as well, and the zoning ordinances there.
Okay, and I see that you have on here for, on public, on sidewalk, there has to be, I think it says 5 feet unobstructed space for pedestrians.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that, any type of identification markers in regards to footage and square, regards to feet, in regards to unobstructed space, was consultant with the Department of Public Works and also with the Fire Marshal to ensure ADA requirements were upheld.
Okay, and has no, I think, gas heaters inside the tents.
Correct.
Does that include tents that do not have sides, that is just strictly a top, or is that
It's regardless of tent structure, no gas heaters are
no
permitted.
gas heaters in tents? Okay.
And I believe that is a state code, not just our city code.
Okay. Well, I don't think I have any other questions. I do think it's a great idea, and I would like to see it happen.
Thank you. Mr. Feather, any questions?
Sorry, Eric, I'm going to disappoint you. I told Mr. Firm I had no questions, but I was thinking about the broad prohibition on plastic. That's a very broad term. And I think I know what you mean by the slide that zipped by, those kind of cheap-looking plastic chairs you get at the dollar store.
Right.
Yes.
But there are some pretty high-end looking plastic-type materials used for like wicker-looking furniture. Now, those are generally around a steel or aluminum structure, so maybe that qualifies as a composite. I don't know. I don't think that's what you mean by composite either. But it seems to me we don't want to exclude those kinds of things, because some of those are pretty rich-looking. They're quite durable.
That is correct, and we did intend composite to have a rather broad definition for that exact purpose. So most composite materials would have plastic as a component. What we would not want is, like you said, the cheap plastic furniture. The term cheap plastic furniture is tough to put in a regulation. So we have plastic in there for now, and that's also one of the advantages of having a pilot program, because if we run into complexities like that, that we'll be able to adjust it during the off-season, which is the 3 months of the winter when outdoor dining is not occurring, to be able to adjust for new materials or whatever we might be.
And I think by
faced with.
having photos within the design guidelines, it will be at least a little bit more straightforward in terms of the more flexible plastic that is not permitted.
So I just have a couple questions, real quick ones for you. So definition of temporary is essentially anything in terms of duration of the pilot program?
Correct. That is movable, not permanently affixed to anything as are bolted down.
But really no time window other than within the window that is available for use?
Correct.
Okay. And then, so I take it this is not really for one-time use kind of opportunities?
The furniture?
Well, the process.
No, so this is a pilot program, but we are identifying it as an annual renewal that they would have to apply annually for their permit.
Okay. And based on the 5 foot, then probably a couple of the current ones along Main Street probably aren't going to work?
Actually, the ones along Main Street have been evaluated via our Fairfax City Reconnected Outdoors program with the, during the pandemic and COVID, and those were evaluated to state that they were 5 feet, but they are limited to 2 top tables rather than your 4 tops or your 6 tops that you see in other places to ensure that that feet was available for pedestrians.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Next, we will move on to the first public hearing, which is a consideration of the request of Kathy Salgado, representative of the City of Fairfax, for the construction of a restroom facility at the property located at 9797 Beach Drive, case number BAR-22-000432.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a public hearing for 9797 Beach Drive. The existing city park is approximately 16 acres and consists of a wooded green space with 2 playing fields, a playground, and a parking lot. Apartment buildings are located north of the site, with commercial space to the west and wooded areas to the south and east of the site. The zoning designation on site is industrial heavy. As seen in the existing site photos, the site currently does not have a permanent restroom facility, as the proposed restroom would be located in the same general area where those temporary restrooms are right now. Here are a few other photos of the existing site. You'll see the existing parking lot and the play area. The stone on the restroom facility would match the existing stone located on the park sign at the main entrance. So here's a current photo of the sign from a few days ago. This slide shows the site plan and the proposed restroom indicated by a red box, which would be the same location as the existing temporary restrooms that are there right now. This rendering shows the proposed facility. I will get into more details regarding the materiality in the next few slides. Exterior restroom walls would be constructed of a smooth face mortar joint concrete masonry unit. Block color would be gray. The exterior finish would be a fiber cement board and batten siding in color grizzle gray. And there is the paint sample for the grizzle gray. On the lower half of the structure, the applicant is proposing stone, approximately 3 feet up the building wall. Stone would match the existing signage that is currently installed on site, as I mentioned in the previous slide. The applicant is proposing a precast concrete cap over the proposed stone. Windows would have steel frames and would be powder-coated black. Doors and frames would be powder-coated black as well. Restroom doors would have a door vent. Roofing would be standing seam panel in color true black. Underside of the roof would be a stained exposed wood color, reddish brown. Exterior lighting would be LED wall cylinder downlight fixtures in dark bronze. No other changes are proposed on the site. And as well, this facility would be prefabricated. This slide shows the exterior wall foundation detail, the wall slab connection stem and mortar joint details, and the CMU rebar layout detail. And now moving on to the manufacturing sheets. This is for the structure, the plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures. And this slide as well. The roofing would be a standing seam panel in color true black. The color is highlighted with a red box. The leftmost sheet goes into further detail regarding the standing seam metal manufacturing specs indicated by a red box. The rightmost sheet is the manufacturing information for the doors. The doors would be powder coated black with a door vent. And this is further detail about the doors. Exterior lighting would be an LED wall cylinder downlight fixture in dark bronze. And this is the manufacturing sheet on the right. The rightmost sheet is the manufacturing information for the Hardy board and batten exterior siding. The siding would be pre-primed. And moving on to the manufacturing information for the board and batten paint. This is the manufacturing sheet for the powder-coated black steel frame windows. And this is a photo of the restroom located at Stafford Drive Park in the city of Fairfax. It's kind of behind Freddy's. The proposed stone would match the stone that's in this location, in addition to the signage at Draper Drive Park. Staff believes that the proposal complies with the provisions of the zoning ordinance stated under 657 approval criteria and is in substantial conformance with design guidelines for the Architecture Control Overlay District, and therefore recommends that the request be approved with the following conditions. The proposed modifications shall be in general conformance with the plans and renderings received by staff in May 2022 and approved by the BAR as of June 15th, 2022. And then 2, the applicant shall secure all required zoning approvals and permits prior to construction. And that is all I have.
Thanks, Anna. Ms. Way, any questions for staff?
Anna, thanks. Just had one question for you, and I'm assuming the answer is no, but were any samples of the wood or the stain submitted?
No, they had a little bit of a hard time getting the samples just because it is a prefabricated facility, so they were only able to get the paint sample that's there.
Okay, that was it.
But it would be stained reddish brown.
Okay. Any idea of species of wood?
No, but I do have the designer here, so he can
Okay.
maybe answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Patel?
Anna, how is the heating and air conditioning handled for this facility?
So, let me zoom in. I assume it would be handled in that mechanical area in between the two restrooms, but maybe the applicant can clarify.
Okay, so that's kind of an enclosed area,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And who would be responsible for the maintenance?
The city,
City?
yes. So it is a city park.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have right now, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Beatty?
And I just have one question.
Uh-huh.
Are these restrooms gonna be open 24 hours a day, or are they gonna be closed, when the park is not open?
Sorry. Sure. I'm not sure about the hours, sorry.
Is this on, or do I have to press a button?
Yeah, I think it's on.
So the doors will have magnetic locks, and they will be timed, so the city will set hours to them. Usually that corresponds to the pre-programmed sporting events. And if the city wishes to have it open during non-sporting event hours, they would have it timed such that.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Just concerned if they were gonna be open 24 hours a day, that would invite all kinds of vandalism.
So normally they'll have staff lock the doors. So they're trying something new with the magnetic locks that would time.
That's
Yep.
great, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Feather.
No questions from staff.
Likewise, I don't have any questions for staff. If the applicant would come forward and state your name and address for the record, and if you have any other further presentation, and then we'll have probably some questions for you.
I'm representing Kathy Salgado. She's out sick. Brian Cipriano, landscape architect with Gordon. You need my address? Is that what you asked for?
You can
I
say your work address if you want.
I actually live in the city too. So my work address is 4501 Daily Drive, Chantilly, Virginia. To answer the mechanical, the facility won't be heated or cooled. Only the mechanical room will be warmed so that it doesn't freeze. But other than that, it's not mechanically air conditioned or heated. Just Stafford's the same way. Stafford restroom is the same way.
Ms. Way, any questions for the applicant?
Yes, thank you for coming in tonight and filling in for Kathy.
Sure.
I just had a couple of questions. So, where do I want to start? So, the stone, that's a real stone, not a cast stone veneer?
Correct. It's
Okay.
manufactured by, or I guess
Quarried?
supplied by Lux Stone.
Okay. And that answered, so on the roofing spec, not that one, go down a little bit further. It's like the actual specification document that had a red box around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one. So when I was looking at that, it says that that roofing panel type is only available in the western region. So it's right there on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, what we have here is actually what we worked out with the manufacturer. This is the actual chosen
Okay,
product.
so as
it-
long as they've said they can supply it, that's fine?
Yeah, so
but-
it's only, that's why, if you go to the sheet above,
Yeah.
there's only certain colors available here. So
Okay.
what you're seeing there are the colors that are available to us.
On the East Coast?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then along with that, just having, I think adding a restroom at the park is a great improvement. One question I have is with an unheated, unconditioned space, black as the roofing choice might cause a lot of heat gain in the summertime. And restrooms tend to be a little bit on the smelly side. So just what thought was given into the color selection of black as the roofing as opposed
So-
to a lighter color?
Yeah, so there's two things going on there. One is the conditioning of the space. So typically restrooms in public parks are not conditioned because it's very complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated to
right,
do,
and
so.
maintenance and upkeep,
Yeah.
it's just not going to work. There's venting in there, which allows for that kind of air circulation. As far as the colors go, the roofing is going to be insulated so that it shouldn't just, track the heat into the building and be stagnant in there.
Okay,
So there'll be mechanical venting that will allow for airflow
okay,
based on the style of the building that we selected, which is the kind of slanted roof
Okay.
versus a gable roof, which allows venting, cross venting that has natural airflow.
okay. And then also with that roof, I'm assuming there's gonna be downspout and gutter on that back side with the
We are
slant?
planning on putting a downspout and gather, and there's also a bottom retention on the backside,
Okay,
which water will flow right to that.
okay. Well, that's a nice feature too. And then, at the other park facilities that we've kind of done something similar, has there been any issues with the steel doors and having, you know, salt put down in the wintertime and corrosion issues?
I can't answer that. I've been to that park recently, though, and I have not seen any rusting issues going on.
Okay.
So they are well primed and then powder coated, so.
Okay, so if they're powder coated.
There's no
that's
salt put down in the parks. Essentially, in the wintertime,
Okay.
when it snows, the parks are just left alone.
okay.
So I think that's part of the reason why they've survived.
Okay. And then I guess similar question about color, going with a darker color on the siding. Just I know with PVC board you have to use a specific type of paint, but I'm not I don't think that it has the same spec with fiber cement board, but just.
You can go with any paint
You can go with
color on the.
It doesn't
It's a
have any
hardy plank, so
expansion, contraction issues.
no,
Okay.
that's part of the beauty of hardy plank. It's
Okay.
pretty stable.
Okay.
But the color palette, we wanted to go with something a little bit more modern-esque,
Mhm.
and the board and batten still has that kind of ball field type of look.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. I think that, yeah, those were all the questions that I had written down, so I think that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patella?
What is the primary reason to select a darker shade of, these outside planks?
So, you talking about the roof or the board and batten? Or
Yeah,
both?
Actually, both.
I mean, we're going with a more modern-looking color palette here. So, rather than just the standard kind of beige or green colors, we wanted something that would be more up-to-date.
Don't you think it's too dark?
Personally, I like it, but it's all subjective.
Yeah, I know, become very subjective, yeah. I mean, I would have preferred a little bit of the lighter shade, not white, I'm not talking about that.
We certainly have no issue with going with a lighter shade of gray as far as the board and batten goes. For a little bit, if you want a little bit more of a contrast with the roofing.
I
The
think
black,
that might look better, like in a bigger park like that,
yeah,
And it'd be more visible.
yeah. I mean, when we submitted this, I was hoping that we would just say it's going to be gray and let us, pick the samples during the construction process when you get submittals from the contractor of what's available. But I didn't. We scrambled to get a color together to give to you, but we're not opposed to a lighter gray.
I understand the reason not having heating, air conditioning, like public toilet. But there's always an issue about not being maintained properly, the deterioration over a period of time when it's not being properly addressed, in the very hot or very cold, time of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, Stafford, the Stafford restroom is the identical restroom from the same manufacturer. It's just a different roof style, so that has a slanted or gable roof. We're going with a slanted roof. It's the same manufacturer. The inside has the vandal-resistant materials inside, stainless steel, and it has held up really well to the public use. The Stafford restroom.
How old is that?
It was finished in '08, so it's about 14 years old right now.
And they don't have any issue with the kind of smell or, the deterioration?
So the one issue that is in it, which we are solving with this restroom, is instead of it just being a concrete floor, we're going to do an epoxy floor so that any of the urine does not soak into the floor. So that will eliminate any of that kind of smell. But other than that, not really. I've been into the Stafford restroom when I walk through Stafford Park, and
So what kind of flooring you be having?
it's going to be a concrete floor,
Concrete
but we'll
floor.
do an epoxy finish on
Epoxy
it.
fin- yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah.
It's kind of rustic, it's, for a public,
Yeah, and it'll be easier to maintain with an
Easier.
epoxy floor.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are things, I mean, I as I said, I would prefer to have a little bit on the lighter shade, of the exterior facade. it might be more visible, type thing.
Yeah, so the rendering, if you don't mind going to the full rendering, so the rendering was provided by the manufacturer. That's a little bit lighter gray than what we ended up giving you as a paint sample. So if you're good with that color, or do you want something lighter, or we have no issue on this end with a lighter gray.
Well, yeah, that the chip we have is darker than that.
Yeah, yeah, we can agree to that.
Yeah, this is better,
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, those are the basic thing. I mean, it's not a big thing, a big issue, but visibility is also because you got the big park, but then this one structure over there, it has to be very visible for the people because they know what it is, where they have to go, just in case.
Yeah, believe me, when you have to go, everyone's going to know where the restroom is.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's the place. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Patella. Mr. Beatty?
And just to clarify once again, I think it was covered. It's going to be located next to the parking lot where the current porta potties are.
Yes.
So it's going to be off the side by the parking lot. It's not going to be into anything else in the park.
Correct.
No, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Feather?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm interested in the ventilation as well. You indicated there's some sort of mechanical ventilation. I understand the door vents that provide low-level air in. How's the air get out?
So I'm not sure if the rendering shows it or not.
I didn't see anything, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
So there'll be it's like a back vent. It's an oscillating type of fan that will inhale the air into through the restroom and out. Exhaust fan.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't clear, but I wanted to make sure there was,
Yeah.
it's
Sorry,
a good
so-
idea to
yeah.
have a
I
place
don't
for
think
air
I
to
was
get
clear
in,
with
but
that.
it's got to get out to be effective.
Yes.
Or I'll take your word for it.
But the vent is open and it's screened, so bugs will not get in, but it will allow airflow into the restroom.
Yep. On the roof, there's a fascia of some sort. Is that part of the metal roof system?
Yes, so
Okay. So it would also be black?
it will be black.
Okay. And then the other thing I hate to have to think about bringing up, and maybe our experience is good at the other park, but I always wonder about the resistance of the finishes on the exterior to vandalism or graffiti, or at least the ease of cleaning it up. Certain paint finishes are easier to clean up than others, and maybe maybe the city of Fairfax just never has those problems. Perhaps we've been lucky, but I particularly think about the stone. Will that be protected in any way that might make cleanup easier later if?
So the quick answer is we haven't specified any products that would seal the stone or anything to that effect. The board and batten can just be repainted. As far as vandalism, Stafford hasn't seen any issues, and that's similarly kind of, especially in the evening hours, kind of to the back or whatever, people could pretty much do whatever they wanted if they wanted to, and we haven't seen any.
I do like to think the people who live in our community think of it as a community. We do tout ourselves as a close-knit community and hope that's not a problem, but I just think about that, and as you know, if you play the stock market, past performance is no prediction of the future. But okay, I was just curious. I agree with you on the board and batten. The stone concerns me somewhat, but I think if Parks and Rec are happy with that risk management decision, that's okay with me. Thanks.
Thanks. I just have one quick question for you. So, noted that we're going to have a gutter and downspouts. Didn't see anywhere that color is specified.
As far as the
Color of the gutter and the downspouts.
we have not given. I would imagine we would do black to match the roofing, and the door and window trim.
Okay. That's the only question I had, so,
Sure.
thank you. With that, we'll move on to any questions or present comments from the public. If so, if there's any of the public that wishes to come forward, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll move to discussions by the board.
Well, you know, my concern is the darker shade. We would like to have the lighter, similar to the one rendering that they have. That'll be fine. If you all agree.
I agree with that. I think a little bit lighter would be
Yeah,
nicer.
yeah. So if that's the case, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion.
Sure.
So Chairman, I move that the Board of Architecture Review approve the request of Kathy Salgado, representative of City of Fairfax, for the construction of restroom facility at the property located at 9797 Beach Drive, case number BAR 2200432, with conditions as follows. Number one, the proposed modification shall be in general conformance with the plans and rendering received by staff in May 2022 and approved by the Board of Architecture Review as of June 15, 2022. Number two, the applicant shall secure all required zoning approvals and permit prior to construction. And number three, the exterior color will match the rendering.
May I propose a friendly amendment?
Please do.
Add item 4, that the downspout and gutter system will be black and match the color of the roof.
Can we discuss that? I would like to have the gutter match that outside facade, they kind of blend with it.
Downspout?
Downspout, yeah.
Downspout?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay?
So amend, so the downspout should match the color of the siding,
Right.
and the gutter should match the color of the roof.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second to my?
All right, good.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. So when are you going to start the construction?
The site plan has been submitted to the city, so maybe later this fall.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of the request of Rust Orling Architecture, representative of Fairfax Presbyterian Church, for the construction of 10 townhomes at the property located at 10723 Main Street, case number BAR-21-00813. Staff report, please, Anna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a public hearing for 10723 Main Street for the construction of 10 townhomes on the property of an existing church and daycare, and a new parking area is proposed as well to the west of the existing church. This redevelopment was brought before the BAR on March 2nd, 2022 for a work session. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from RH Residential High to PDM, Plan Development Mixed Use, and approval of a master development plan in conjunction with BAR review. The BAR would make a recommendation to the City Council on the major certificate of appropriateness. The property is bordered by a residential neighborhood to the south and west, a resource protection area to the north, and a townhome community to the east. Past the resource protection area to the north, there is currently a nursing home and medical office along Main Street. I'm going to quickly summarize the main comments from the previous work session meeting minutes. There was a comment regarding the manufacturing information for materials, which the applicant has now added. There was a few comments from the work session about the retaining walls and the treatment that they would receive. The applicant has added all this material detail and appearance of the retaining walls on site. Fencing and lighting detail has been provided as well. That summarizes the main comments from the previous meeting. None of the architecture has changed from the previous meeting. Just some more detail has been added. Staff likes the appearance and the use of high-quality materials on site. This map shows the proposed townhouses indicated with small gray boxes, showing a more zoomed out view of the area. You'll see that this site is not really visible from the right-of-way. The site is only visible from the city trail to the west of the two parcels. The site is accessed from Presbyterian Way from Main Street. So you drive a little past the medical offices and then past a forested area there. It's pretty tucked away. These are some existing site photos that I took earlier this year in the winter months. So the trees are a little more barren compared to how they are now. The top photo shows the wooded area and the existing Cameron Glen townhomes. The ends of each townhome stick would face these existing townhomes. The bottom photo shows the view looking down the existing driveway where the townhomes would be placed. The top photo shows the existing parking lot. The bottom photo shows another photo looking at the Cameron Glen townhouses. And then this is a photo of the resource protection area that is to the north of the site. This slide shows more photos. The first two photos show the existing church that will remain. The third photo shows the proposed townhome site. These photos were taken when the trees had more leaves compared to the slides that I just showed. This slide shows the existing conditions of the site. You will see the church and parking and the daycare parking turnaround cul-de-sac. I have added a red box showing the proposed townhouse location and the proposed parking lot location. From building wall to building wall of the closest townhouse of Cameron Glen community, the applicant provides 53 feet. The units would be 33 feet from the east property line. Now moving on to the architecture sheets that have not changed from the last meeting, but I can still go into detail just to refresh memories because it has been a few months. Seen with the hatching on the plan, this is the tree save area between the site and the neighboring Cameron Glen community. The applicant is proposing one open space area that each townhouse unit would face. That would include a pergola, benches, landscaping, and solar pathway lights. All units would be rear loaded and would have a green space area between rear yards in addition to a privacy fence. The proposed sidewalks would be 5 feet. Here we have the architectural sheets for the front elevation of units 1 through 5. The building width for each townhome unit would be 20 feet. These 5 units would have a window well. There's more detailing on the window wells that I'll go over in the next few slides. All units would be made of brick. There would be 4 different brick types in this development. As you'll see on that material sample board, Lot 1 would have brick 3, Lot 2 would have brick 1, Lot 3 would have brick 2, Lot 4 would have brick 4, and Lot 5 would have brick 1. You'll notice the solar panels on the rooftop, and then gutters have been added to the renderings. Door coloring is also seen on the material board that's getting passed around. The building mounted lighting is seen on the material sample pages, which I'll go over as well. The approximate height for this townhome stick is 31 feet This has not changed from the work session. Anything on this page? This would be the side of lot 5. This would face the neighboring townhouses of Cameron Glen. There would be 6 windows on this side of the unit. The rear fence is seen on the rendering in the right corner. The townhome unit depth would be approximately 40 feet. This would be the rear of lots 1 through 5. As I mentioned before, all units would be rear loaded and have a rear door and garage door as well. There would be a green space and a fence for privacy. The rear door would match the front door in color. This would be the side of Townhouse Unit 1. This is the end of the stick and would be seen from Fairfax Presbyterian Church property and would face the parking lot area. Townhome units are staggered either 4 feet or 2 feet, depending on the unit. Here we have the front elevations for lots 6 through 10. These units would have stairs leading up to the front door. Front door colors are seen on the material board and page and consist of the 3 same colors as units 1 through 5. Brick types have been labeled on this rendering as well. Approximate building height for this townhome stick would be 38 feet. The building width for each unit would be 20 feet as well. The only item that has changed on this page is that right corner for the wall, that retaining wall. It is labeled as B3 as the type of brick, and I'll go into more detail about all the retaining walls. This is the side of Townhouse Unit 1. This end-stick would be seen from the church and would face the parking lot area. Let me see. There would be 7 windows on the side elevation. And you can see the stairs leading up to the front doors. This would be the rear of lots 6 through 10. The garage doors would match for all townhouse units as the front doors. The solar panels would be located on the rear side of the roofs for lots 6 through 10. You'll see the gutters, door colors, building heights, lot widths on the slide. This is the side of lot 6, which would face the Cameron Glen townhouse units. There would be 7 windows on the side elevation. You'll see the stairs to the front door and the staggering of the townhouse units and the heights of each floor as well. This sheet shows the side elevations for both townhouse sticks. The top elevation would face the Cameron Glen townhomes. The lower west elevation would face the parking lot of the church. You'll notice the location of the proposed pergola, the rear privacy fences, and the open space area, and that retaining wall in the front. This sheet offers details for the gutters, door surround concept, solar panels, and sectioned garage door. There would be 3 types of windows that the architects have included, providing details in the top left corner. There is type A, B, and C. They all provide detailing on the different types seen throughout the site. This page also includes the enlarged elevation detail of the window well seen on the front elevations of lots 1 through 5. You will see the front door, the guardrail for the window well, and then another window below grade. You'll see the solar panel information, the garage door manufacturing information, and then the railings information, including the gutter and downspouts as well. Moving on to the open space material and lightings. First, the applicant has included front door lights with dimensions, rear door lights, bike rack, bench, backyard privacy fence, pergola structure, and lighting, and then the solar pathway lighting. So the manufacturing information has been added since the previous work session on this page as well. And dimensions for the lighting. And this sheet is new. This has been added. It was suggested from a board member to add more detail regarding the retaining walls. The top rendering shows the proposed retaining wall between the church and the existing trail. The middle rendering shows the wall between lots 1 and 10. The lower rendering shows the wall north of lot 5. The applicant is using brick type 3 and a cast stone cap. Mortar sample has also been provided on this slide. This slide shows detail of the location of the retaining wall with the retaining walls with a cross section as well. And then this other slide shows the other retaining walls between the church and the existing trail. This slide has been added since the previous work session. It shows a detail for the proposed parking lot on the upper west side of the site. The applicant has added lighting material information and material for the burgundy red brick pavers, photos of the existing church exterior lighting and existing church paving as well. So the pavers would just go on this strip up here. This is the lighting plan for the Upper West proposed parking lot that we just went over. And also the manufacturing information for the type of light. This is the material sample board that I've just distributed. It includes the 4 different brick types, 3 paint samples for the rear and front doors, mortar sample, the shingle sample, and the PVC trim sample. Now moving on to the landscaping. The hatched gray area shows the tree save area and the location of the proposed landscaping. The ornamental trees include serviceberry, redbud, fringe tree, and evergreen trees. Include American holly, eastern red cedar, eastern arborvitae, and numerous shrubs and grasses in ground cover. Staff believes that the proposal is conforming to the city's design criteria contained in the design guidelines and therefore recommends that the BAR provides a conditional recommendation of approval to the City Council with the following conditions. The proposed modification shall be in general conformance with the plans and renderings by staff in May 2022 and recommended for approval by the BARs of June 15th, 2022. The applicant shall secure all required zoning approvals and permits prior to construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Ms. Way, any questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
Mr. Patella?
So Anna, I got a couple of questions. These drawings show a unit and lot, do they mean the same thing? So unit 1, lot number 1. See, here it
Yes.
says unit 1,
Mhm.
and you go to the elevation, it says lot.
I believe it means the same thing. It does line up.
I know it lined up,
Yeah.
but it's like the different ones.
Yeah, it does line up with the renderings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then on the site plan, for each of the townhouses, there's an arrow, which I believe it means there's a doorway there, right?
Let me, which page?
Well, you look up the proposed architecture site plan. Right?
Okay, let me see.
And each of that unit, there's an arrow there.
Yes,
That means there's a door, right?
yes. Yeah, so that would be the rear door and then the front door.
Okay, so let's look up, unless I'm reading it wrong, let's look up the elevation, which is lot 1 to 5, rear elevation.
1 through 5 rear, okay. Here
So
we-
if you match the lot 3 and 2,
Mhm.
the doors do not correspond to the same location, which is shown on the site plan.
So the rear, lot 5,
And if that's correct, the pathway will change.
Yes, I do agree with you. It does not appear to be lining up with that site plan sheet.
And it means that on the site plan, the pathway, leading to the door will change.
Yes, I do see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. They're showing, the door is over there.
That is a good detail that we can discuss with the applicant.
Right, because, this elevation is gonna change.
Yeah.
Elevation for lot 3 and 2 got to change.
Mhm.
Unless they want to change the pathway leading to the unit 2 and 3.
The paved area leading to the garage, the rear garage. Yeah, we will discuss with the applicant.
Okay. I like actually the solar LED landscape lights. I think,
Oh, yeah.
I have in my patio, I have some solar lights I put in there. They look so beautiful,
They're very nice.
Yeah, and they kind of look really nice. I may have a couple of other questions to the applicant. That's all right, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Beatty?
No questions to staff.
Mr. Feather? Nothing for staff. Likewise, I have no questions for staff. If the applicant would come forward and state its name and address for the record and provide any presentation that you may have to the board.
All right, hello. My name is Rhiannon Schroth from Rust Orling Architecture at 1215 Cameron Street in Alexandria, Virginia.
Just Mike Ernst, Rust Orling Architecture. Same address.
So we have the same presentation with more context images that we shared with you in March. If you'd like us to go through that, I can quickly. This perspective, actually, I should ask if you'd rather not, I can, you've seen it just a couple months ago.
I'd like to hear.
Yeah, okay. So this perspective is sort of an aerial taken from Judicial Drive and Main Street. Just showing some of the neighboring townhouses. The next slide. This is sort of the opposite corner, also at Main Street and near Oak Street. So you can see in the sort of the middle top there with a gray box where the site is. This sheet shows the neighboring architecture. So the nursing home, Cameron Glen townhomes, some of the neighboring single-family residences that are freestanding as well. And this sheet is intending to show some precedent images for where we came up with the ideas that are shown on the elevations. Door surrounds, jack arch in brick, row-lock sill, and a bay. And this again is the site showing the context in the two elevations, one that's at top facing the parking lot that's next to the church, and at bottom the one that is facing Cameron Glen. So just going around the buildings from the side facing the church. This upper rendering hasn't been updated to reflect what you see in the package with the brick type 3 used on the retaining wall. But that is a change that we made, as Anna pointed out. And then the opposite elevation and the back side. And then these are the two elevations that face each other along the mews or sort of courtyard space between the townhomes. So.
All right, I'll go to Ms. Way. Any questions for the applicant?
I don't think I have any questions. I appreciate you guys did answer most of my questions from last time. I like the brick selection for the retaining walls. I think that makes perfect sense. And again, also the solar pathway lighting, I think, is a really nice addition. So thanks for answering those, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Patella.
Couple of questions. First of all, I think you've done a very nice job. I think it looks very appealing. And I think, as we discussed even last time, I think you handle this sloping site very well, because it's a challenge, you know, it's done very well. And the location of the mechanical equipment, where is that going to be? I'm trying to refresh my memory.
Right. There's a condenser that's at the back of each of the units. So there's the entrance that you, as you had pointed out, is shown with the arrow, if you will.
Mhm.
And then to the side of that is where the condenser is. And it's at grade, right.
Yeah.
Screened by some vegetation.
I see that floor-to-floor height is 9 feet 2 inches. So what is the clear ceiling height in the apartment or in the
Typically,
townhouse?
yeah, typically trusses ended up being around 14 inches.
So it's 8 feet?
Yeah, it's kind of not very tall, but we're working with the
Yeah.
maximum 40-foot.
Because normally, I don't think we go for 8 feet these days.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, is that was because of the cost consideration, or?
Less because of cost and more because of the maximum height, yeah.
Because these days, we do not have like 8 feet, we have like a 9 feet. You know?
Right, I know, it feels better.
The other comment that I made was about the door location as
Right.
relates to the facade.
Right,
So
yeah.
you agree with that, that's not corresponding?
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
And
I
think
don't
the
know
result
which
would
one you
just
want to
be-
change. You're going to change the entry, or you're gonna change the facade?
I think the whole unit really flips, both 2 and 3 is the
Right,
result.
The choice would be, I mean, at this point, I think, in consultation with civil, it's.
So you'll keep the entry the same way, and then you will change the
Yeah, just
facade?
the facade is just gonna mirror one
Way,
way or
okay,
the other,
okay,
depending on
okay.
which way makes the most sense.
Okay.
Based on grades and the floor plan.
For like second and third floor, the height of the windows are different. Does it mean that the window sill height is different from the floor? See, the heights are different.
Yeah. Typically, your windows as you get up are gonna get, as you go up a building facade, do get shorter. The heads will sort of maintain an elevation, but yes, the sill on the upper levels, will very typically be higher than the wood sills on the lower levels. Lower level, first floor, second floor, especially on multi-story.
Well, this one is showing that the first floor and the third floor the same height, whereas the second floor is higher.
The second floor has bigger windows, yes. That's the
So
wood-
that means the ceiling, the sill height is lower than the other floors?
I have to-
I mean, something has to work, you know.
Yeah,
I think that's
Correct.
probably the result.
yes,
Yeah.
probably, the sill height's gonna be what adjusts. I would have to.
I thought that that's normally pretty standard, you know, from the architecture standpoint, that, in a townhouse I'm talking about. I mean, you know, for every floor, you basically have whatever the sill height you want to maintain. But here, it appears that the first floor and the third floor, the sill height is whatever it is, and the second floor is different.
I mean,
Yeah, because functionally, the second floor is our living floor.
exactly, yeah.
Right, so having bigger windows on the living floor where the main living space is, to bring more light in to that level was the intent.
I'm not sure if, like,
Because the first floor is, the lowest level is garage and like a little rec room.
okay,
And then the second floor is living,
okay,
third floor is
The bedrooms.
sleeping.
okay.
And so the second floor, we wanted to maximize,
Yeah.
you know, the thought process would have been,
No, I don't have any concern, I just want to bring it to your attention that this is what I see.
yeah, that's
The cell heights are different. Because, you know, floor to floor height is the same,
correct.
but now the windows heights are different, that means, you know,
The sill's here, the sill's here.
uh, oh, these are the basic things I have. I think it's a pretty nice development, based on, the challenges that you have with the sloping side, you know. Yeah. That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beatty?
Just a couple of questions. What is the distance again between, say, Unit 5 and the townhouses in the next development over?
Oh, are you talking about Cameron Glen?
I guess, whichever,
53.
so it is 53 feet from, say, sidewall to wall of the, okay. And the trees that you're putting in back there, what size of trees are you putting in? How big are they going to be when you put them in?
Good evening. My name is Hank Fox. I'm with Charles P. Johnson and Associates. Our address is 3959 Pender Drive in Fairfax. I believe the city requires 3-inch caliber trees.
Okay. I'm
So
just-
they're the big stock. You know, it's
Okay, I was
sometimes
wondering
hard to find,
because,
but
you know, they're going to, part of the thing is going to be screening the two
Mhm.
developments, and how long is it going to be before they,
well, a 3-inch caliber tree is going to have a good
they're
sized
gonna
tree
have
to it.
good
so, yeah.
size? Okay.
But you
I
have a
was just-
15-foot buffer that we're already providing,
Yeah,
and then a 10-foot landscape strip. So we're doing a decent buffer already.
yeah. Okay, I was just, other than that, I think everything that I had had before. Oh, the mechanical units, how are they screened?
A tall grass is proposed.
Go ahead.
Do you know the species? Oh, sorry. I think I can pull it up, if it's familiar to you.
For the shrubberies, and it would be yours.
Bottle brush grass.
So it's just going to be,
It's a low growing screen.
yeah, going to be vegetation screening.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Feather?
Thank you. I didn't think I had any questions, but your question about the transition to the Cameron Glen got me thinking. We saw this presentation at the Planning Commission, well, a similar presentation on Monday evening in a work session. And as I recall, the design exceeds the minimum transition yard requirements to the, turn myself around, east.
To the east, yeah. That's correct.
Do I recall correctly, there was also going to be a 6-foot fence, which is which is also required by the transition yard?
We'll be
Okay.
adding the fence on the plan. And then
Yeah, okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were
Okay.
aware of that too. But I had no other questions, thank you. I still like it a lot, so it's great.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. I like what, the additional details you've provided. I think the details and the look of the retaining walls definitely enhances the project. I like how each one of the window types is different and very distinct, so I really appreciate sort of the effort and the detailing in those. And I don't have any other questions for you. I really like the project as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And so we'll see if there's any members of the public who wish to come forward and make a presentation. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ed DeMasters. I live at 10776 Crest Street in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm in part of the Autumn Woods neighborhood, which is directly west of the complex. First thing, I do appreciate you all adding the retention wall pictures on the slides. I think that provided a good view for me and I think for my community on what we're going to look at from our perspective. I did have a question, and I don't know which slide it was that had the parking lot, the driveway, and that area. I don't know if you have that available. But they're proposing to move the trail, the walkway down to the trail from one location to another, further north. And my question is there going to be any type of plants put there so it's not a direct view from the church straight to my neighbor across the street's backyard, because the elevation changes? Everybody's going to see everything going on in their backyard because the walkway blocks the area. So I don't know if you might give you a second for that. And then just the last thing I had is, as an alternative to that, is because they are proposing stairs, is if they do put the parking lot in there, is it best, another suggestion would be is to run a sidewalk from that new parking lot or somewhere over there back towards the angling back towards Lamar. So it would actually be a flat walk. It would not have any stairs, so it would be more ADA compliant, even though I know the church doesn't actually have to follow ADA requirements. But it would be a flat one versus having stairs going down to the trail. It would be a flat one because the elevation would be similar. Those are the only comments I had. I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Okay.
So we will be providing some shrubs along the parking lot area and then along where the drive aisle gets close to the property line. And
This was what I was.
I understand. Now, let me get there.
Sure. Sorry.
So we're providing some shrubs along there so they have some additional buffering besides the existing landscaping that's there. As far as the walkway down, we were just trying to provide the same walkway that was basically there before. So it just happened to be in that location. There was no rhyme or reason. I suppose we could investigate maybe moving that to some other location.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, that's fine. We can look into it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That will move on to discussion by the board.
Yep. I just like that. I think I like it very much. I'm impressed by the design of the houses. They are all brick as opposed to most of the townhouses going in now may have brick on the front facade and something else inside the back, siding on the side and back. I think I'm considering that this is going to be, you know, affordable housing. I think they're very well designed. I think they're very attractive, and I'm a favor of them.
Yeah, I have the same opinion. I think, yeah, with the constraint that they have with the sloping side and the affordable housing, put all things together, they did a great job. Only thing is that I like to see 9 foot high,
Yeah.
I'd like to have that in my house too, but I don't have it right now, so.
Just one comment. We got into the discussion about the parking lot and driveway. Again, this came up with the Planning Commission. That's phase 2. There's not a commitment to do that right now. The idea is to include the design in this master development plan so they can do it in the future when funding is secured. So that's information from that perspective. And as far as the steps down, as again I recall, it was kind of replacing what was there. And I guess there would be non-stairway access to that parking lot or the trail through other means. Again, it's longer, but those are the kind of things that came up there. I'm in favor of the from the Board of Architectural Review standpoint. I love the design.
Yeah.
The brick facing the church that complements the color of the brick.
True.
Of the
And I
building
think
itself and the
they've
red
done very
door.
well, you know, picking up these 4 different types of bricks and how they have changed or you know, one to another. Like one color goes to 1 and 5, for example, you know, and the others are all. I think it's done very well. And looking at the board that you had, I think it is appealing.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Architecture approve the request of Rust Orling Architecture, representative of Fairfax Presbyterian Church, for the construction of 10 townhomes at the property located at 10723 Main Street, case number BAR 2100813, with the conditions as follows: that the proposed modifications shall be in general conformance with the plans and renderings received by staff in May 2022 and recommended for approval by the Board of Architectural Review as of June 15th, 2022, and that the applicant shall, number 2, applicant shall secure all required zoning approvals and permits prior to construction.
A friendly modification is.
Second first? Second.
Oh, sorry. Second. I think I was going too far. That is the applicant to adjust that, the facades in relation to the floor plans.
I second. And you can agree?
I agree.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. With that, we'll close the public hearing and move on to the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The administrative approval since last meeting, 10310A Main Street, new signage. 3729 Old Lee Highway, which is the Daniels Run Peach Church. We approved new fencing, landscaping around a new proposed playground there. As for open, active administrative applications since last meeting, 3847 Pickett, which is Caliber Collision. They have some facade modifications. 3730 Old Lee Highway, City of Fairfax Police Station, gate and fence replacement. We're still working with them on that. And then 11190 Main Street, Bank of America. They're doing some pretty minor site modifications and some new shrubs. And that is all I have for tonight.
Thanks, Anna. Any comments from the board before we wrap up? Ms. Way?
None.
Mr. Patella?
The possibility is actually 99% that I'll be away for about a month, an overseas trip, maybe my last official trip, you know. And that's going to be from the 6th of July to the 7th of August, which would mean that I may miss 2 or 3 meetings.
Okay, so good news is that I'm going to cancel the next meeting. I think it's July 6th, I believe. And then we should have the second meeting in July, and then we have the August recess.
Okay.
So I guess you would only miss one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Okay. This works better.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Mr. Beatty?
No, nothing further.
Mr. Feather?
I've already mentioned it, but the Board of or the Planning Commission had a work session on the Fairfax Glebe project on Monday. Very strong reception. It'll be sometime before we get to a public hearing, probably sometime in the fall. But it's good that this body took the first approval step. I think this is an important addition to the city in terms of its affordable housing stock. So that's all.
All right, thank you. I don't have anything further, so with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you very much.
One thing I just wanted to mention now, it has nothing to do with what we did tonight, but I just want, the townhouses that are